I just feel that I agree with some of the points that, yeah, the education side. I think in schools they do talk a lot about, about using a condom and about diseases. And
I think that it's more, they do with the anatomy and the details of it, but like, I don't think they give them like, the home ec class where they send you home with the baby kind of thing. That's reality. Go home with that for a week. That's reality.
I did that.
You know what I'm saying? So stop that kind of education, that hands-on, like, go work in a nursery for a week straight and can you deal with toddlers kicking and crying and screaming?
Yeah, but some parents will be like, I'm not going to put up with this bullshit in the curriculum.
No, but this is what I'm just going to say. The high school that I was very grateful to go to, BSS in Brampton, they actually had a daycare built into the school for the amount of kids that were having children.
They've done that in the States as well too.
So what they did was they actually created a class around it for kids that were considering, because there was kids that were planning babies. Oh, you're planning a baby? Go to that class. Let's see if you can pass a semester of it. Oh, you passed with a 30. You think you can be. So that's one thing that BSS did. I found that really did kind of help. And that's what I mean with the education. Yeah, you can tell me anything on paper. You can show me how to put a condom on. You can tell me this is going to make my vagina look like this if it blows up. That is, I'm not going to care until I physically see something on me. And that's just kind of me. And that's how some people are. And so when I'm physically in a room and someone's like, go home with this crying child for a week and nobody's going to help you, that's when I start crying and I realize the reality.
Yeah, I think in a lot of inner cities in the U.S., they do that because they have such a high birth
population, right?
Well, they have a high number of girls getting pregnant, right? And a lot of, single parents, right? Yeah. So for that reason, I think they do that. I think that in Canada, a lot more can be done. Ironically, they are not disclosing the numbers of women that come to Canada from the U.S. to get an abortion. I read over a dozen articles, and every single one's like, "Oh, we don't really know the exact number. We don't really know." Bullshit. You know exactly the number. They don't want to disclose it. It's a moneymaker for them as well too, and they don't want to have to discourage people from coming from the U.S. I think I'd spoken to you about that. And you said that there's some people that came to your dispensary and said they were here from the U.S.
Huge influx, and I'm not exaggerating when I say huge. I'm talking like in a 7-day week cycle, at least 3 or 4 customers. And I'm talking, they're only there for the weekend, right? They're flying in, they're getting the procedure done. And it's usually them coming before they've even dropped their stuff off at the hotel. They're usually picking up like CBD, nothing like intoxicating like THC, usually a CBD or CBN to help them get to sleep. And then it's usually them saying, yeah, we're here for a couple days. They'll leave. And then you usually see the husband back on the second day, and he's like, hey, can you give me some of what you got me last time? My wife's having cramps or whatever. And they'll say, I'm from Illinois, I'm from here. And you put 2 and 2 together. And then sometimes the woman will even open up to you and be like, yeah, well, I'm here to have an abortion. And it's like, we've seen the influx, and it's like, it's actually kind of sad because they have, like, for example, and believe it or not, and I'm quite surprised, it's a lot of professional women. A lot of women that, like, when they come in, they're dressed to the nines. They look like lawyers or... Well,
I mean, obviously, they can afford it.
Well, and that's the thing.
The average 50-year-old can't afford to come to Canada to get an abortion.
And you know what? One gentleman even said to me, his exact words were, by having this child, I'd put the rest of my family in poverty, and I can't do that. Mm-hmm. And he literally, like, the break in his voice was like... we were like, it was like he was spending the last of his money to get here so that he didn't have to put his family in poverty for the rest of his life. So... it's kind of like you see the heartstrings of where it is. But yes, there's been a massive influx. We are the closest dispensary to the airport. That's why we've seen it.
I think that one of the saddest things out of all of this is on how they have no compassion for some of these young girls who've been raped.
Yes.
And they are still not allowing them to have an abortion. And they're like, we don't give a shit. Like, there was one article that I'd read a while ago where a pastor had raped a 14-year-old girl, or raped, sorry, and she couldn't get an abortion. It's just disgusting. Like, it's like, I don't understand when these lawmakers, when they think about things, like, leave it up to the person to decide. Like, pro-choice, it's up to them.
I think they bring religion too much into it, to be quite honest with you. I think a lot of the people that are in office, whether they like to admit it or not, they're very religious, and
there should be no
100%.
There should be no compulsion in religion, and I'm Muslim, and there's no compulsion in Islam. mind you, people will misinterpret things on their own for their benefit. But the Islamic religion, you cannot force anyone to follow it. So even if a girl is Muslim, it's up to her. She wants to cover her head. She doesn't want you want to wear a miniskirt. Go ahead and do whatever the fuck you want. You cannot be forced to. And especially when you are a country that is, you know, very multicultural, like the U.S. and Canada, you can't just go ahead and just dictate your whatever it is that your beliefs are and say all the masses have to follow this shit. Right. So, for example, everyone has to get circumcised. Well, it shouldn't that be up to the parents' decision if they want to circumcise their baby? Who the fuck are you? Just because you're Christian and you believe that that should be done, you're Jewish or even Muslim, great, good for you. But that should not be forced on people. Mm-hmm. But the rule being that a woman and a man should not have sex before marriage. That's in all of the three Abrahamic faiths. Yeah. So I never, you know, I always like to hear people's view on that they'll pick and choose certain things in their religion to follow.
Yeah. And
that they feel, you know, they can, all right, my life is still comfortable. I don't have to sacrifice anything. I can still fucking, you know, drink or you know, have sex or whatever. These little things I will do, like I'll go to, you know, church on Easter and I'll do this, whatever. But these other rules, oh no, they make my life a little bit too uncomfortable. Isn't that kind of, do you guys agree with that, or isn't that the norm for humans? I'm saying even me, all humans do that now, where they will justify ignoring some parts of their faith and saying, nah, that's not really relevant. But this part here, I do believe in Jesus and I do believe in this. And I do believe in heaven and hell and I'll be a good person. But this part here, I'm not going to follow that because it just doesn't suit my purpose.
Not today.
Yeah. Right?
Well, depends on my mood.
Yeah.
I mean, I just rather beg for forgiveness than permission. And I also think that, you know, like you said before, you can't push what you believe on anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
No, this isn't what I believe. This is what, but I'm saying, like, if you're a Catholic, it's your religion.
Just in general, like how you said, like you can't, you're Muslim and you're not going to push that on other people. And I think that's the same thing here is like your religion cannot get in the way of, you know, raising a nation, raising a country. You can't dictate your specific lifestyle to everybody else.
I don't know if that's true.
I just don't think that you have to impose that on people.
Isn't that what we've been talking about? Like, because of the politicians' religion, they can't have abortions.
So they are imposing it. You're saying they shouldn't be. So we're all on the same page. She's saying they shouldn't do it.
Okay,
but,
I thought she was saying.
But to play devil's advocate, the one person that you should be imposing it on is yourself.
Right.
Because you are saying that you're of that faith. And then when you don't follow certain things, then you're making a mockery of your own faith is what I'm trying to say. So you have people, they'll be like, you know, I'm Muslim. But then when they open their mouth, they fucking treat people like a piece of shit, right? Or even, not even just that, even other religions. I've met people who are Jewish who are like, you know, we're the chosen ones, but they treat everybody else like they're a piece of garbage, right? Even, you know, Catholics who think they're fucking holier than thou. But meanwhile, they're like, you know, horrible with their kids and other people. You should be imposing, if you're going to say, this is my opinion, if you're going to say, I am a man or a woman of God, and this is the book that I believe in, because obviously your religion has a book, then from there, if you're going to oppose stuff in that book, because that book is a guideline on how, it's a handbook to life. And now you decide to pick and choose, you know what? When I was 5, I agreed to it, but I'm going to put an X on that. No, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that.
No, I absolutely think you should be allowed to do that. I think that spirituality, it should...
Honestly,
I think it's an
like
individual thing. I think that this is, you know, we may have these categories of faith and, you know, certain rules and restrictions for that. So, you know, other people don't have to consider me Catholic. That's okay. You know,
no, it's not. It's you. Again, it's not about other people. Who cares about other people? I'm saying you have to
follow the rule book. In my opinion, I think that you can interpret religion how you choose, and I think that it's more important to be a good person and to be a kind person and a compassionate person, a considerate person, than somebody who necessarily follows all of the extreme old tradition. I think that
if you call your religion extreme and old, then it kind of...
All religions are extremely old.
No, they're not.
That's not
No,
true.
they're universal. They're
There's
not
new
old.
religions every
but
day.
they're universal.
The majority of religions are very old.
No, they're not very old.
Scientology.
Like, Girls, keep one thing in mind. Like
John Travolta.
when we're talking old here, like
Scientology's
fucking
50 years.
dinosaurs are old.
Yeah.
Religions themselves are like Christianity's 2,000 years old.
More than that.
That's pretty
I know.
old.
Yeah.
Well, Jesus, 2000,
2000
that's of the
before
year
Christ.
2023. Islam is only 1,500 years old.
I keep forgetting.
Judaism
what
is
year
the
it
oldest religion.
That's still pretty old.
That's not pretty old.
I think it's pretty.
No, if you look at just
Well, that's my
generation wise,
opinion.
that is your opinion, but that's because you might be a millennial or a Gen Z, but religion is not old. My point here is that
It's old enough to have shaped the world in many ways that are extremely important to their culture.
culture is completely different. So, for example, you're Catholic. Do you respect the Pope?
Yeah.
Do you believe what the Pope says?
Invitation, like
No. Do you
Yeah.
So when the Pope speaks, like if he's going to do Christmas Mass, right, and he's going to do his speech, do you respect what he's saying? Do you acknowledge what he's saying? Is he basically the leader for Catholics, and what he says you respect and you try to abide by, or do you think
Yeah.
he's a joke?
Okay. Well, I think you're trying to make me out to be like you're trying to make it very extremist. Like it's like either he's
No, no.
completely a joke or I
No,
have
I
to
never
believe
said that.
everything he's saying.
I
And I
never
think
said
that you're
believe
just
in everything.
trying to
No.
really put me in some sort of box or situation where I
that's how you're
cannot
seeing
make
it.
a decision that I actually feel comfortable making. I would say
Does anybody else
I
agree with
can't-
what she
I
just
can't
said?
hear.
Am I trying
don't
to
think they
put
actually are-
Maya in a box?
I don't think they're cluing into what I'm specifically referring
No,
to.
I'm telling you
What
that
I'm
you have
saying
every
is-
right to believe what you want. I'm just playing the devil's advocate. All I'm saying is that when it comes to society today, when it comes to our beliefs, there isn't, I'm not saying this about you, I'm saying in general, there isn't a lot of core values left nowadays. People pick and choose what they want. And they dissect it and go, I'm going to do this, I'm not going to do that, blah, blah. And that also goes with how people interact with each other. Like a lot of people have no problem. Look, if you go on the internet today, how many idiots are doing bullshit fucking pranks on people just to get likes?
Right.
They're
Yeah.
walking in stores and breaking shit. They're kicking dogs. They're like, grabbing someone's, whatever, their AirPods out of their ear, or they're putting their arm around the guy's girlfriend just to get kicks and to get likes. Okay. They'll devote themselves to that. That's their religion. So I'm saying is that when it comes to society,
Okay.
I find that values and morals are not where they were.
religions are cults nowadays.
Even, religions are cults, I agree. But I'm saying, forget about religion. I'm just saying values and morals
Yeah, that's
they're not where they were. I find that most people just don't give a shit.
yeah.
They don't respect other people as well, too. They don't respect other religions, other ethnicities, people with different beliefs, people with different skin color. That's all kind of gone. And it's gone, worse and worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, we
Okay.